Hola amigos, this is Kenda with Fin Real Estate Group in Los Cabos, Mexico. Well, it's July and Mexico is really heating up. But what about the real estate market? Is it still on fire? Well, that answer might surprise you, but first I would like to talk today a little bit about the US and Canadian markets because these other markets cannot be ignored when making predictions about the Los Cabos market as we traditionally follow suit. In the US, they have rising interest rates, and that's made borrowing money a bit pricier, putting a little bit of a damper on the housing market. I think that's an understatement. It's made mortgages more expensive for buyers, so many people are taking a big step back and looking for smaller homes to fit their budget. At the same time, that wild stock market that's swinging all over the place has spooked a lot of investors. A little further up north in Canada, I hear it's a similar story, that rising interest rates have made mortgages costlier, and that means that some potential buyers are having second thoughts. Affordability is taking a hit, so people are either postponing their buying plans or hunting for much more affordable options. All in all, in those markets, the combo of high interest rates and the roller coaster stock market is shaking things up a little bit in the real estate world. It's definitely been a wild ride in the past year for probably both buyers and sellers. But what about in Cabo? That's where I am. It's true that we generally do follow real estate trends that we see in the United States and Canada, and we generally lag behind by about 4 to 6 months usually. But you cannot overlook one important difference between those markets and the Cabo market. What is it? Well, you have to consider that the overwhelming majority of buyers in Cabo pay cash for their purchases. Nobody ever believes me, but it's the truth. Mortgages just are not common here. So maybe the rising interest rates don't play as big a role here as they do in other markets. Well, if you've watched any of my other videos, you're going to remember that here in Cabo, like in the US and Canada, we had this huge real estate rush in 2022. I'm telling you, prices were skyrocketing and the days on the market numbers were plummeting. And in plain English, what that means is that even though sellers were asking higher and higher and higher prices for their homes, they were selling faster and faster than ever, especially in some neighborhoods. The San Jose del Cabo area saw a really big hike in home and condo prices. It was absolutely crazy. And I still have people reaching out to me all the time to ask me, like, now what's happening in Cabo? Now what's happening in Cabo? Well, it has been a while since I updated you, so I thought I would do a video and kind of bring you up to speed about where things are right now. But before I do that, please do me a huge favor and like this video if it gives you some sort of insight or helps you understand the Los Cabos real estate market better. I would also really love it if you would follow me so that you can be notified when I put out future videos. I thank you so much in advance, really I do. These videos do take me a lot of time to do all of the research, so it helps me a lot to know that they matter to people. So I really do appreciate you thumbs upping and following me. So, all right, let's jump in. Just to remind you, in my videos, I mainly talk about the most popular areas of Los Cabos. That consists of that Pacific side, then down to Cabo San Lucas, the Cabo and San Jose corridors, San Jose del Cabo, and the East Cape. This video is no different, but obviously if you're interested in a specific area that I don't mention here, or if you're even interested in knowing what's happening in a specific neighborhood, just leave me a note in the comments below, and I'm happy to pull those data for you. So I want to talk about the primary metrics that I follow to help me formulate a snapshot of what the market is. They are, first, number of listings, sale to list ratio, days on the market, and overall price trends. And let me explain why. First of all, the number of listings tells us about inventory. Do we have more buyers than homes or homes than buyers? More homes than buyers puts us in a buyer's market where the buyer has more power. And when there is not enough inventory to go around, well, that makes a seller's market where the seller holds all the cards. Second, the sale to list ratio numbers give us some important information as well. I love this because as the ratio goes higher, that tells us that people are paying at or over asking price. This signals a seller's market as well. But when the ratio drops, that means that buyers are making deals and that the sellers are accepting prices lower than what they originally listed for. Another important metric, and number 3 thing to be aware of, is days on the market. This tells us whether inventory is being snatched up or if it's just sitting there for a really long time. And fourthly, I look at overall price trends, and I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Analyzing these data leads me to believe that we've switched back from last year's seller's market to a buyer's market once again. And let's break down why I'm saying that and why I think that by looking at some numbers. The best way to break it down is to compare what is happening today to what was happening this time last year, and beginning with available inventory. Last July, we had about 117 active listings on our local MLS in the areas that I follow. As of the end of June now, we currently have around 171,000 active listings. That marks a 68% increase in available inventory. Wow, that's a lot. It appears we no longer have a shortage of inventory. I think that's safe to say. What has happened in the past year for the sale to list ratio? Well, last July it was 98.8 and today it's 97.4. That doesn't sound like a huge drop, but I want to also note that this past March, it rose to slightly over 100% and has continued to drop monthly since then. This is a little bit interesting because it leads one to believe that sellers are accepting less than the list price when they get offers less than list price on their home. The next thing I like to look at is days on the market. Last June, the number of days on the market was 207, and this year it's 227. So, this means that sellers have their property sitting on the market for almost an additional 3 weeks before it sells. Now, I have to say, it's really important to note a couple of variables that might affect this number. First, remember that it takes here around 90 days for properties to close in Los Cabos due to some really complicated regulations and requirements that are different than what US and Canadian buyers may be used to. So when I said that last number in June was 207, that really meant that from the time the house was listed until it went under contract, it was just under 4 months or 117 days passed on average. Getting to that closing added those additional 90 days. However, right now in Los Cabos, closings are taking closer to 110 days on average. So it's really hard to tell if that increase in the days on the market is due to inventory just sitting there, or if it's due to the delays that buyers and sellers are experiencing from the backlog in our municipality. I'm definitely just going to really keep an eye on this to see if I can be more sure. And lastly, let's just talk about overall price trends. You might think that with more inventory, higher days on the market, and a lower sale to list ratio number, that prices might be decreasing pretty rapidly. But I'm not seeing this yet. I'm seeing a leveling out, but no really major dips yet. Last year's average active list price was about $947,000 US dollars. Today, the average list price is about 1.22 million US dollars. And this includes an average of all of the areas that I mentioned earlier and both houses and condos. There's also another very important factor to consider when looking at today's real estate stats in Los Cabos. Because the weather gets quite hot and humid in the summer months, our market has historically slowed down during July, August, and September. So some of the flattening of the price trends graph could also be attributed to the off-season that we're experiencing right now. But all in all, I think it's safe to say that the Cabo market is still strong. Yes, I do think it is a buyer's market right now, but buyers are still paying pretty close to asking price. They're not looking for crazy deals, and they're not getting crazy deals right now. So I think we're in a pretty healthy market despite what many people thought was going to happen. They thought we were going to see a huge crash, and we have not seen that yet. So hopefully it'll keep moving in that direction. So once again, I'm Kenda. I'm a founding partner of the brokerage Finn Real Estate Group, and I love sharing boring statistics with people. I love buying and selling properties in Cabo, and if you or anybody you know is interested in buying or selling a property, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to help you with finding the dream property or making the most money that you can when you sell your property in Cabo. So have a great day.